very versatile collection of seeds because I like to grow a lot of things, everything from food crops to flowers, like also flowers, cut flower varieties, as well as other things you'll see. And there are very few things I still have yet to buy this year, but I pretty much have, I'd say like 95% or more of what I need right now to grow. So, once again, I'm trying to stop saying so much. I'm going to start off with the food because I think flowers are a little bit more fun. For me, at least, they are. So, summer and winter squash. I need to get a better container. Like a lot of people have, I believe they're some sort of DVD airtight containers that go in a larger Tupperware. These do have lids. Obviously, they're not quite big enough. I got little seed packets. I told myself I would use these to make them like small enough to fit. Excuse me. I'm already clearing my throat. I drank some tea before I came on here because it's a struggle, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people this time of year. So one of my favorite companies is Botanical Interests. If you aren't familiar with them, they may seem a little pricey if you're shopping around, and it's true, but in my opinion, they're totally worth the price. They have top quality seeds. If they sell the variety, chances are it's going to be rather easy to grow. Now, I won't say that about everything, but most of their varieties are easy to grow. Hey, Martin. Yes, these are all seeds I am planning on planting. Every single one of these, and they're all things that I have planted before. If not, if it's something that I haven't ever successfully planted, I will let you know. But I really like lemon cucumbers for the look and the ease of the use for sandwiches and things because they're like, I wouldn't say softball size. They're about baseball size and you pick them when they're ripe and it's just convenient to have circles, but honestly, they don't taste anything like lemons. A lot of people claim they have like some kind of citrusy aftertaste, or if so, taste that. They aren't even like what I would consider the tasty cucumber. I think they're a little bland, but they're just, like I said, for the ability to have bigger slices, I like them. Like it's easy to pickle those too if you have a big enough container. And pickling is something that I've done quick pickles only. I've never canned things like for long-term storage, and I really need to learn how to do that. I, bigger varieties of cucumbers. I still need to get smaller pickling cucumbers. That's one of the few things I have to buy. Basically, I have to get my pickling cucumbers, like the gherkin variety, and basil because I planted most of my basil last year. And every year, I have at least one bed just for basil because there's like dozens of varieties of basil, and I can't get enough basil, and I want all the different kinds. And I'm kind of like that about summer squash. Here's like Black Beauty. This is my Patriot Supply. These things, look, this is from 2015. They're 10 years old, but in these Mylar packets, if you store them right, they're supposed to last like decades. So last year, these were still going strong. I'm sure they're going to be fine this year if they were fine last year because I used a lot of seeds after living off grid for 11 months. Like, I was afraid of the viability of a lot of them. And I have a bunch of weird summer squash. See, I didn't drink a cup of coffee because I was trying to be like, I don't know why I'm a little shaky. This is a type of summer squash, just like zucchini. And that'd be fun to roast. I don't really see myself using that to fry. That's my favorite way to make it is to fry. I have Peter Pan squash. If you don't know what that's like the scallop squash, I believe it's called. Um, Yellow, just grow a ton of this. And this squash Max's Gold really is like that picture. You will get 4 or 5, 6 at once off one plant, just like that picture depicts. It's amazing. Oh, I have yet another just plain green zucchini. This is round. I've grown 8 ball summer squash before. This is different than that. This is something from Guatemala, but it's basically, the same round zucchini. And I grew this last year. It's just an heirloom variety common in northeastern Italy. And I felt like it was a little bit more buttery, kind of like a squash. That's funny. A cross between acorn and zucchini. I don't know. Or maybe I should say butternut squash. It definitely was flavorful, and I do recommend it. And one variety of summer squash or zucchini I do not have this year that I would recommend is costata. Costata romanesca is supposed to be the driest, and I know that doesn't sound good, but when you are using it for frying or certain dishes, like if you're making zucchini lasagna, you need to get as much moisture out of it as possible. And the costata romanesca, and they get so big. I mean, most zucchini does, but these are get like especially big, especially fast. They're a very common heirloom variety from Italy, and um, you don't they're not dry to you. Like, when I say that, it's like it's all about frying and not having excess moisture. You'll know what I'm talking about. If you've ever made zucchini lasagna and you sprinkled salt on it to get the moisture to come out before you bake it, and, so this is a great compact winter squash. Now, this is winter squash, if you didn't know. Hi, Adelina, how are you? The difference between winter and summer squash is winter squash has a thicker rind. You grow it longer, it can store longer over winter. That's why it's called winter squash. It doesn't mean you can't necessarily eat it, when it's ready in the summer or fall time. I'm sure a lot of you guys know a lot of the information I'm giving. I just would like to share my information, and as morbid as it sounds, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, then these could be videos that my kids could watch and things that, you know, they do spend a lot of time with me outside, but just think hopefully one day they have more of an interest in it. So these are all my pumpkin seeds. I have never grown anything but little tiny pumpkins before. We never really had space for bigger pumpkins. And there's a few other things that aren't pumpkins that are just winter squash. So I've grown Jack B. Little and Little October pumpkins. Once again, botanical interests. I mean, I've been shopping there for like 5 years, maybe longer than that. If you didn't know, Epic Gardener, I should know this. It's a big YouTube channel on here, and he bought Botanical Interest a year or two ago, and that was really cool to see because they are a family-owned business for like 25 years, and they sold it to somebody who really had a heart for it, and I was glad to see that. The only that I haven't seen that I miss from them is some seed mixes. I'll show you some flower mixes. So we have Cherokee Bush, early sweet sugar, just plain old orange pumpkins. This sweet meat, 15-pound pumpkin. Um, these are two heirloom varieties from the early 1900s, pink banana and Lakota squash. That's going to be fun. Those are things like Native Americans grew. This, I wrote trap crop on it because that's what I read about it, Blue Hubbard. It's ideally you plant it near all the pumpkins, all the winter squash. You want the bad insects to go to it though, because it will attract them first. I don't know why I have a watermelon mix in here. I really thought I went through things. White pumpkin. I would like to get black pumpkin. Now Botanical Interest has like black cat, Cinderella pumpkin. Yes, I'm going to grow all these different kinds because like I said, we have like a 3,000 square foot garden bed tilled right now. And I mean, probably half of that will be these. And I'm going to do a lot of the pumpkin mounds on the very edge and put the pumpkins out over. We still have plenty of space outside of that plot to uh, direct the pumpkins. This is like a bluish, dazzling, deeply ribbed shape and shiny slate gray color. Okay, slate gray, Jarrahdale pumpkin. Big Macs. This is probably like the biggest variety I have. It says could weigh 100 pounds or more. We'll see about that. And then this is something I probably wrote with like the other, in those plots. It does have a longer vine than the acorn squash I showed earlier, but Honeybow is really yummy. I like delicata. And this is something I have that's 10 years old. I've grown times, and I'll probably grow more of these this year than I ever have before, really focusing on the winter squash that I can store for not only what if it hits the fan, but also because pumpkin winter squash seeds have the most protein of anything you can grow in the garden. Maybe sunflower seeds have more. They both have the most protein. Like you think beans and peas when you think of protein in the garden, but really it's the seeds of the sunflower and winter squash. That's where you get so much, and I'm not one to sit around and eat seeds all day, I really couldn't do that, my stomach couldn't handle it, but it'd be nice for me to have a few pounds of protein just sitting dried in the cabinet, like, just in case we do need it. And also, if you didn't know, pumpkin seed is good for dogs if they are having, issues with parasites and worms, and, like, pumpkin itself is great for dogs if they're having an upset stomach. I'm sure most of you dog owners know that. So we're probably gonna do the Three Sisters method. Okay, I said that I needed just 2 things. I actually need to get more corn, and I'm not exactly sure because I do have Indian glass gem corn. I have a bunch of that saved from it's several years old. I can't remember, 6, 7 years. But I kinda wanna grow sweet corn this year. I have another packet of this too, I think, but we're gonna do the Three Sisters method. So the winter squash I just showed you, that's gonna go on the ground, corn, and then we're gonna trellis some beans, which knowing me, I probably will buy more beans too because really like to have I know it's kind of silly, I'm like a little kid. I like to have the purple beans. I have these yellow ones, I believe these are wax beans, and then I have, a bunch of different green beans. I'm getting tongue twisted, and, these are grown sometimes just for ornamental value because they have an abundance of those red blossoms, they really do. I've never grown this hyacinth bean. This is something that was given to me years ago by my uncle and aunt, and I would be interested in growing that, if anything, just because my uncle and aunt gave it to me. Then we have melons. So I never really heard anybody talking about using the Three Sisters method with melons, but they're probably gonna be in the mix there unless I look it up and, like, you can't grow watermelon with corn, something like that. Because I always check when it comes to companion planting, you should know if something hates being planted next to another. So I guess I have cantaloupe seeds in here. I do have these I really like Michigan Gardener. I really like their varieties. I love, Michigan Gardener and his family, but every time I've been on their website, and granted, I haven't been on in a few years, it's just incredibly unuser friendly, and I would support him more if it was easier to shop on his website. But this is like a French heirloom variety of cantaloupe, basically Prescott Fond Blanc, and I have grown that. I just grew like one time, but that still counts. And a lot of things, it does take several attempts to try to grow, but it's totally worth it. But melons definitely are something that you need to know exactly when to pick them because I picked a lot of wet watermelons at the time, and that's severely disappointing. So I don't think I have to show you every single one of my lettuces because like nobody wants to sit through that. Just lettuce. And I do have multiple this is what Botanical Interest sends you when you order from them, so that's how many times I've ordered from I mean, I've used some, but anyways, I try to get a lot of heat-resistant varieties because a lot of greens don't do well in the heat, and most of our growing season is pretty hot. And as well as that, I've got some Swiss chard in there. I have some cool greens too. Like, this is one reason I like Michigan Gardener. He has really neat varieties of things. Minutina. It's actually kind of, sweet from what I remember. I got strawberry lettuce from him, I still have seeds for, but it's not in the packet anymore. And that's a really fun little plant because it has these little edible red berries that taste like absolutely nothing, but it's really fun to be able to add stuff like that to your salad, especially if you have kids. I've got mustard in here. Here's another variety of, like, fun lettuce from Michigan Miner's lettuce, and it makes eating greens more fun. I love kale. Personally, I like kale slaw and I like dried kale, like kale chips, I should say, not dried kale, but I eat that all day long. So I have a bunch of kale, but I'm really excited. I have not grown this yet, but I've grown several varieties of kale. This is one of the big varieties, so I'm definitely only going to have one plant. I have red cabbage, regular cabbage, cauliflower. So these are my brassicas. Then this is something I have never grown before, Romanesco. Yeah, Romanesco. So in early spring or late summer. So I'm gonna wait till the end of summer to do that one. And this is a really nice heat resistant variety. If you want spinach that does well in the heat, it's not technically spinach, it is a different plant and it's very high in oxalates, but I believe spinach is like that too. but this is called New Zealand spinach. It's a very hardy plant. You grow one, it should be enough. One of those kinds of things. It's like the zucchini of greens. And it kind of trails. It doesn't grow very tall, so it can be easy to keep in the shade of other plants like most greens, like once again, especially in the heat. So root vegetables and peppers. I wanna say, like, everything is my favorite every time I pick it up, but I really, really love root vegetables. They're the kind of thing that I didn't like eating until I started growing them, and once you grow, like, stuff like beets, I do like pickled beets, but, like, actual fresh beets from the store, like, is something I didn't really like or buy much, and golden beets are my favorite personally, but I grow a variety of colors, like, with everything. It's fun to have, like, a rainbow garden. It and then to have different varieties of things, like these are carrots. They're little round carrots, and they're an heirloom variety. Yeah, it says from the 19th century. I've got, I don't think, are leeks a, I don't know why these are with the root veggies. Oh goodness, now I need to Google something. Um, I didn't remember I got these daikon radishes. Once again, I've grown many different kinds of radishes. I have not grown these. These are especially big. Got scallops, onions, I really like my little carrots because it makes me feel better than unsuccessfully growing big carrots to a bigger size. I have grown some big carrots. Oh, some more of the round ones. The biggest carrots I grew were at the property we had off grid, and this is like kind semi colorful variety. Those really are pretty. I did grow those. So, and here's another like shorter, chunky, they're extra thick carrots. And then we've got red carrots and purple carrots. Now, Baker Creek, they're a fun brand to shop from. They have a bunch of super rare stuff, and every time you order from them, they'll send you extra seeds, and it's always something that you've like never heard of, let alone something that you would go and pick out. And I think it's so much fun. I've got a bunch of beets. I've still got. I, I'm surprised I have this many of these. Hold on, I want to see if this is really these are really beet seeds in here. I probably put beet seeds from somewhere else in with these because they are definitely beet seeds. And okay, another thing of the multicolor. Then peppers, I see it's like really need to be stingy with my budget, especially since I'm starting a month late this year because of surgery recovery. Because I kind of want to buy more peppers, but like I keep telling myself no more because I just need like a few bell pepper plants. Because let's be real, I might buy some bell pepper plants because by the time those get going and actually produce, they'll be like for a month. Shishito peppers are fun. Are these the ones that every few ones are hot? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't believe it's that one. Scotch bonnet. I really, really like having all the scale, like Thai peppers, those are pretty hot. I believe these were free, yes. And I have a few things in here that I know that I'm gonna grow near these things, but you know, they're not peppers or what was it? Root vegetables. Tomatillos, and then my eggplants, which I have not grown like traditional, the big eggplants. I have grown one of these, like literally, like I had one fruit because it frosted and it was like this big, which was super cute, but it I wanted the bigger one, so you know that's going to be a lot easier to process and make for a meal of a family. I've got just a few more things to talk, well, herbs basically, until we talk about the flowers. That's exciting. So here I'm really trying to make a good perennial bed, and the things that are going to go in it besides herbs, my collard greens. My collard greens need to go back with the actual greens. There's common sorrel. This is one of the first greens to pop up. Like if you're making a survival garden, like this will pop up so early and it's not good after it there are any more cool mornings. Like it will be so bitter first, but I just think it would be a nice thing to have around and know like when it's still really cold outside, this will be producing greens and a lot of it if you wanted to. Hi, Mustafa. How are you? Thank you for commenting. My name is Lydia. I don't introduce myself often enough. And we got this, it doesn't say if it's a perennial or not, but I swear I've had Swiss chard go for a long time and like over winter. It might be a biennial though. But in that same bed, I'm gonna put catnip. These are perennial herbs, lemon balm, perennial herbs in my zone, which I believe is like 7A now. Thyme, two kinds of hyssop. Oh, I'm definitely planting coriander and basil. I'll get to that next. These are the perennial herbs that I'm gonna try to put in my raised bed that's like waist height. Hyssop, I really like tea from it. I never even knew about hyssop until I started growing it. Peppermint and mint. I mean, I have tons of this. If anybody grows mint, you know what I mean. I already have any of this growing, but I'm gonna probably put it in a container in that garden. I'm not gonna put it in a garden bed because I won't be able to get rid of it. Lydia is how you spell it. Hi, Michael. Oh, that's neat. Woodworking. That's really fun. So I have one seed in here. I might need to buy more sage, but this is a perennial. Chives. Got, and I'm pretty sure I can overwinter this here. Oregano, especially in the raised bed, it's like waist high. So it's going to take a long, long time for that to really freeze. Not saying it's impossible. And this is an herb I've never successfully grown. I know it's open. I didn't grow it last year though. And I don't believe if I've ate it, I wasn't aware of it. And I haven't bought it to use in dishes at home. Like we do not cook with it. But anything that was a perennial and it then my watercress. This is something that's gonna need a little something special, but I'm obsessed with watercress. I love it, and I can always start it, but, like, I can't keep it going. I don't know if like, I know to keep at least a third of the leaves and not, like, harvest all of it at once, but Michael said, "I am thinking about relocating to Kentucky. What are the seasons like there?" Well, do you do you disclose on your channel? I'm assuming you have a channel by the title of your name, like, where you're located at? Because it's very humid here, just so you know, and you're depending on where you're at in Kentucky, it's pretty much the Ohio River Valley until the mountains in eastern Kentucky. But like I met people I worked with at Amazon that came here to start a mushroom farm, and they were from Washington State and said this was like the ideal place for a mushroom farm because of the humidity, if that tells you anything. And there's definitely four seasons. Where I'm at in central Kentucky only snows like twice a year, but it can snow a lot when it does snow. However, a few hours west, you will have a lot more snow. And then I don't know much about the mountains. I haven't been in Kentucky that much, but it's definitely like, do they consider it temperate climate when you've got all four seasons? Nothing really crazy as far as like a rainy season, but you definitely have it all in Kentucky. And there's like a saying I heard it when I lived in Indiana too, like if you don't like the weather, don't worry, it will change. Like it's kind of like all over the place. Lately, it is getting a little bit more extreme. Like the winter storms does seem like they're worse each year. Like, things on with climate, not to get political, but like I do believe something's going on with the climate as a gardener. Like it's undeniable. Like our weather is changing, but I don't think that we like taxed for it or held, accountable for it, like some people are trying to do with certain climate change initiatives. But anyways, now it's time to start talking about flowers. If you have any more questions, Michael, let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Okay, I guess I have a few more things because this is actually things I want to pay special attention to, like start separately, not just put in the ground. I have grown peanuts before, but I didn't get that many peanuts from it because I harvested it too soon. That's a big mistake you make as a novice gardener doing it all on your own. But I added some sand to the place that I planted these. Same thing with white sage. Some things that are known to be a little finicky. Just look up like, well, what does it like? And same thing with lavender. Well, lavender comes from the Mediterranean, like rocky soil. So I added some rocks around to where like you can amend soil with anything that will help make this plant, especially if it's an annual, like this says, but you're going to harvest it. Like if it's an annual, like it's not going to have that deep of a root system unless it's a winter squash or something. But I've amended the soil and grown so many plants successfully, like white sage is known to be difficult to grow. And I know that's a little controversial for some. I wouldn't sell white sage, and it's like a sacred plant to Native Americans, and they believe it shouldn't be like harvested wild, which I would never do because I can just grow it. And some people like don't think it should be grown, or like definitely if you grow it, you shouldn't sell it. And I understand that. So this is the last food because I don't know if I'm going to grow ground cherries. I have grown these before, but it freaks me out how they're like poisonous until the husk, they like fall out of the husk. It's something that makes me a little paranoid. And here, Michael said, what areas are the safest for a family with the best soil in a more rural location? So there's a lot of fertile farmland all over, but you really do need to be careful because there's also like going to be a lot of not tillable, rocky farmland that people are trying to sell. It depends. Do you have a young family? I, and it depends on your budget. As soon as you get about a half an hour outside of Louisville, there's this area, I think it's in Washington County, Kentucky, Taylorsville, Bullitt County. I'm assuming there's some good farmland around that. That's going to be more expensive. And it like north, I wanted to kind of stay away from the cities because of the pollution, like, but Cincinnati is a great city. Up by Cincinnati, I've seen a lot of farmland for sale that was very reasonable, and I think it would be around Lexington. That's a great thing about Kentucky. There's so many great cities. You can't go wrong living near Bowling Green, Louisville, Lexington. Somerset is one that's farther east. That's a really, really nice town. You just there's a lot of water in Kentucky, and there's gonna be some properties that are kinda, like, marshy that have a creek going through it, but, like, it's not gonna be as tillable as well as the rocks, so, uh, you can see it. I'm assuming you're gonna be able to go see it, right? Like, I would not buy land sight unseen. I've searched for land here 2 different times, and I should make content about that. I have a lot of content on my a lot of videos on my old phone, and that was my mistake because honestly, living off grid for us was hard. It was difficult, and I don't wanna say that I was depressed, but I wasn't in the right space to make content, and I was thinking, like, that could be the thing that maybe elevated us and helped me with our homestead. I just knew that that wasn't the right time or place, and we also have, like, a eight-year-old, and I'm not blaming it all on him, I'm just saying it's a lot more difficult when you have a little one to take care of, and I think I hope I helped Michael because I feel like I was just all over the place because basically there is what you asked for. Of course, I wouldn't say that the heart of Louisville or Lexington is safe, but like the suburbs of Louisville, like outside of Louisville, are really safe and the schools are really, really good. And like, same thing with if you look up the crime, you'll get a good feel for it. It's just in areas where the drugs are worse, where there's not a lot of money. I found that there's counties where it might they do have a good industry with like cows in particular, certain, you know, down in Russell Springs, like they have a great amenity in Russell Springs. They have this big like auditorium planetarium thing for their kids. We almost moved there strictly because of their school system. You're in California, the drugs are worse where there's much more money, right? Here it's like, you'll be like, "Wow, there's 20 acres for $40,000," and then you look and see the crime's really bad around there, and it's like, yeah, because you can't have a lawnmower in a shed without it getting robbed because unfortunately there's, a lot of people on drugs, and it's in places of Kentucky where they had, like, a booming coal industry mostly, in Eastern Kentucky, and, like, they got the rug pulled out from under them, and yeah, it's really sad what's came of some of those communities, and I actually lived in California, Michael, a half an hour away from the border. I was a kid, but I lived, near Escondido, California, and then my dad stayed out there for a while, and we visited him over the years, so it is a shame. I know California is, like, a great place, but I couldn't imagine I don't think I could afford to live in a van down by the river there now. Um But yeah, if you come across like a particular place, like I do know a lot about everything I would say from like Bowling Green to Somerset. So if you my email or you or like, anybody like feel free to email me or you can just write a comment on one of my videos. I check all my comments. So just let me know if you like think of something or and I'm still signed up for a realtor, like, in our price range, which was, just up to, like, 150 they'll get all the listings, like, all over Kentucky, even some in because we were looking in North Carolina, Tennessee, and yeah, so it's still a little bit all over the place, but prices are definitely getting a lot better than what they were, especially, like, 2, 3 years ago. I I was born in Louisville, but I kinda lived in Indiana, Kentucky, and it's funny because I don't feel like I have an accent, but other people have said that throughout my life. I'm like, "I guess I do." Um, okay, I wanna talk about the last because I just talked about the peanuts. This is the last food thing, and it's actually if you guys don't know about moringa, it is one of the most nutritionally complete plants. So this is great to have. I didn't really put in, I don't understand your language. Oh, I'm sorry, Dilip. I wish you did if you were interested in seeds and stuff. I'm in Kentucky, or you don't understand if I'm talking too fast, you can slow it down on playback. I don't believe you can slow it down yet. But moringa is a tree, but this is a dwarf variety, and I'm going to try to grow some of it in a container to overwinter. But if you know anything about me and containers, like don't hold your breath. So this is a complete protein. It has all 9 amino acids in this plant. It tastes like crap. It's kind of bitter. Let me know if there's any good way to process this so it doesn't taste bad. I have only had moringa powder. I have not grown this yet. I have tried, like, this is an empty packet. I germinated them. I planted them when they were yay tall, and unfortunately, I planted them in a bad spot and they got shaded out. It was completely my fault. But I really, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say Kentucky. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for answering that question for me. I appreciate it. So this is just something that I really want to get to know to grow because I think it would be great to have like in a survival garden. I meant to put that in this title. Like this is my backup plan. We don't have much in the bank account. We don't have much room in our house for like a bunch of I was wondering where I'm going to put all these pumpkins I'm going to grow, but I might even buy like kind of little cupboard to put them in, which isn't ideal. Ideally, they need something cooler than that. So now we're on to flowers. I'm really excited about eucalyptus this year. Something else I haven't grown to maturity, but they have silver drop and baby blue on botanical interest. And if I could get to grow this successfully, I'll be one of the happiest people in the world. To have fresh eucalyptus in the USA, in America, delete fresh eucalyptus in the shower, to have it for bouquets. A lot of eucalyptus that you get, even like for shower sprigs, like they'll still dip it in glycerin and things like that. I don't like that, and I'm really into cut flowers. Like if only for us, I would love to be able to do it commercially one day, but that's definitely not happening this year. Snapdragons are a perennial. I should try to establish this by my house. And I'm just showing you random flowers right now that these are in my pay extra attention to these container. There's no rhyme or reason, then they're extra special to me. These are literally metallic. I believe they're called painted tongue is a nickname, what most people would probably call them salpiglossis. Very beautiful flowers. And lavender, I have grown from seeds successfully. It's notoriously hard to germinate. It just needs cold stratification. It's really not that hard. And then a long germination period because usually, it's in the cold winter for a long time. One of my favorite that is easy to grow, but I want to make sure that I grow a lot of this because it is tick repellent, Sweet Annie, and it's a good bug repellent. This thing will grow into like a bush in a month or two. I guess I should say like 2, 4 to 6 feet tall. I personally have only gotten green. Like I know that packet has that purple and yellow. I don't know if like they turn that color or something, but I've grown this several years. I've never gotten anything but green Sweet Annie. And if you never smelled this before, it has a very particular kind of scent that you're either going to love or hate, and it is sweet, but I don't know what to compare it to. I hate to say it, but it's almost like a sickeningly sweet or something. If anybody has something better to say about it, let me know. But I happen to like it, and think I kind of grew accustomed to it because It is such an amazing plant. It really is a great companion plant, except for the fact it grows so tall, but you can keep cutting on it so it doesn't if you don't mind the management. It will repel all the bad bugs. So I would really like to have this in, oh, yeah, it is a full sun. I would like to have this around where we hang out the most outside, which is like directly behind our house. But these are the things that I could grow right now. I just realized I had potting sitting. A lot of the things I grow are textiles too. I like to grow food, flowers, things you can really like. I have grown gourds. These are loofah gourds. They are edible when they're smaller because they start off super small and get really big. Like you imagine the size of loofahs. We all know what a loofah is like, or most of us probably. Not as hygienic to use this in a shower unless you're gonna do, like, single term uses or something, like, maybe cut this in, like, tomato slices and use them for a shower or 2, but it really isn't a good idea. That's probably why you don't see many loofahs anymore. They harbor bacteria. I wouldn't use them like that. However, thank you, Michael, and Dilip said, "I don't believe meeting with USA person, I little understand your language." Oh, well, I hope maybe if you're interested in it, watching it is a good way to learn. I've never thought about trying to I don't know if I can, like, translate my audio. I wonder if I could do that. So these gourds have an extremely long growing season. I did successfully grow some. However, the loofahs I got out of them, I don't know if I didn't dry them right. This was years ago in Indiana. I'm sure I'm gonna be able to grow them this year, even though I'm getting a late start. I shouldn't be so confident. I believe they had the largest leaf of any. They look like zucchini leaves or summer or winter squash leaves, pumpkin leaves. They had the largest, like, I can't even, like, a foot to 14 inches, like, across. The leaves are gigantic. And another thing that I would consider kind of like a textile really is that would be good for a survival garden because hear me out. If we ran out of toilet paper. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't really finish this. Speaking of like things you could use around the house, I think these would be good to have for like sponges. Once again, I wouldn't use them for a long time though. But if you had a lot of these under the sink and, had them in little pieces and use them every few days, once a week or something like that, you replace them. They also are good kindling. They're good fire starting material. So I don't plan on having like tons and tons of those, but I think it would be good to have as a backup. Like, oh, we've got a few dozen loofahs in case of emergencies. Chia seeds, these are very old too. I got these when we lived in Florida. These are at least 10 years old. But I have successfully grown this plant. It's a beautiful plant, grows really fast, and the leaves are extremely soft, and you can use them like toilet paper. So that was just something that I'm trying to think of, like, if we had a completely off-grid situation and grew everything we needed, if we have almost everything we need short of paper towels or some kind of cloth like that. I mean, you can even I saw a YouTube video where somebody grew flax and made it into linen. That was so cool because I love flax and I have grown flax too. It's an absolutely beautiful flower. This is one of my favorite flowers. I have a few examples here to show you what a straw flower looks like. I don't know if you guys can like hear that. These grow on the flower like dried already. They're great for crafts. You need to know when to pick them. You have to pick them when they're still closed because if you pick them when they're open, this is actually not a good example of what I'm talking about. This is still pretty round. A lot of times they won't be as round. And even the back of it is beautiful. Straw flowers are really easy to grow. Some people might think they're a little weedy looking, like the way that they look are like the prettiest as far as like the way they grow. I don't, but neither are zinnias, and they're like one of the best cut flowers. And I just think these are so great. And I would like to make some bouquets that were all dried flowers. I have made them, but I haven't really made like the kind of long lasting bouquet I would really like that has more color. I have tons of straw flower seeds that I have saved of different colors, and I also have packets I bought because I really want to focus on those. Like I want to try to get like a big bouquet, all the different colors of straw flowers because they are hands down the most color retaining dried flower of any flower I've grown and dried. Um, I believe these are also, yes. Here's a really pretty red one. Okay, see, I picked this for seeds. It had gone to seed. You can see there's still some seeds in it. So it's not the greatest example, but super easy to grow. And I'm gonna have tons of sunflowers, straw flowers, zinnias. Where are, okay, let's start with, oh gosh, I'm gonna say let's start with cut flowers and look at me go all, okay, yeah, let's just do cutters. Like I just said, we have tons of zinnias. A lot of these might have been cross-pollinated, so I don't even know why I bothered trying to write something on them because I always grow a variety of zinnias and cross-pollinate. Oh, you like roses? I have one rose bush that was here when we moved in. I like them. I just don't like things with thorns. And oh gosh, nothing hurts as bad. I shouldn't say nothing. Rose thorns hurt so bad. And like there's like a wild rose around here. It's so pretty, but it is very painful. Cosmos is another flower I absolutely love. And while the flowers themselves don't last that long, their leaves are great for filler in arrangements. Like they are just really pretty. I'm sorry I don't have a picture of them right now. I just have save flowers. I have grown dahlias from tubers as well as seed, and I'm really excited about these. The dahlias you can grow from seed are always going to be more simple. They do have pom-pom dahlias. I do have some of those seeds, but they don't have like the big dinner plate dahlias that you can grow from the tubers. And if you didn't know this, dahlia tubers are edible. You know, I don't think they're super tasty, but I think they're neat. They can overwinter here in our zone. I had to dig them up in Indiana, but it's something you could have in the ground, such as cattails. If you didn't know, cattails that grow around ponds, their roots are tubers. I believe they're called tubers too. They are edible. So it'd be nice to have something that's like in the ground if starvation happens. If you have like supplies in the house, people might raid your house, but will they know to dig up the dahlia tubers? Not to make it like, just better to be prepared. I don't sit around thinking about these things like all the time, but I picked up some of these, I think, when they were on sale at the end of the year last year, because even though I saved tons of zinnias, like I said, I don't know exactly what they're going to turn out to be. So it's nice to have these. Some things aren't so great saving seeds, like anything that's not an heirloom tomato variety, I believe, like they're just going to be seedier the next time you grow them. So I've got like candy stripe, I hope, Queenie lime, zinnia. Some people say zinnia. I call them zinnia. White. I do actually have a bunch of white zinnia seeds that I bought. Because I have the moon garden collection. I've never grown an actual moon garden, but I've always wanted to have like a special little flower garden or big bed that was all white variety. I got these because even though I have tons of marigold seeds, they're all white marigold seeds. I'm not a huge fan of marigolds, but they are a good companion plant. These are the straw flowers that I was just showing you that I got. I believe I have most of these flowers, I mean colors, except for but I went ahead and I just wanted to get every color that I could. And Celosia, this is a fun plant because this is used like as a spinach salad green in Africa when it's young. The leaves are bitter. When it gets older, like by the time it's flowering, it's not going to be tasty. But it's a really fun plant. If you don't know what Celosia is, I feel like it is, it's from Africa in cocktail form of celosia, like that brain plant they call it. But celosia, it's really common. You've probably seen it. I feel bad I don't have a picture. Super easy to grow, super great filler. And like I said, the young leaves are very much edible. And I really like things. I got on a big kick when I first started gardening. I didn't want anything toxic because we had a toddler and a dog, and I wanted absolutely nothing that was like toxic at all. And I've gotten over that since then, of course. This is something I have never successfully grown, and I've tried like 3 times, but we're going to try again. Bells of Ireland. It's going to be a fun filler for flower bouquets. And this is also multifunctional. Yarrow, I have grown it a lot before. I've never used it medicinally. I am very excited to put it I should put it in the perennial garden as well, actually. That's one of those things that spreads easily. Bunch more zinnias and another filler. I have grown this. This is an old packet. It kind of amaranth, love lies bleeding. And then I have not grown this. I haven't opened this yet, but I want to grow this as like a filler for bouquets, but it's edible. It's really easy to get tons of seeds from these things. It's a little too easy if you don't know when to pick them. Okay, so Scabiosa, this is a fun filler. This is one of those flowers you grow for when they're for the seed pods, basically. And I have some of them right here. I'm sorry, I meant to get this out. And I just have this little tiny small one. They do get in this, but it's just, okay, imagine like a bigger sphere of this. This one is missing a few seeds because each of those little things are seeds. Like this, I just picked off as a seed. But this, it's almost like alien looking pod. It's really interesting. I've got some red clover in here. I mean, they even look neat on their own, like the little piece I just picked apart. I wish I had a bigger one to show you, but you get the gist. You can dry it. That's going to be neat for dried arrangements. And oh, I've got, okay, I've got some this dried stuff right there I need to show you. That's also cut flowers, some of those. Okay, this is actually called Globe Amaranth. Okay, oh my gosh, you guys, I do have pictures of Celosia. I'm so silly. This is what the Celosia flowers look like. They're not showing the greens. But I am a huge fan of this. I love this. Now it's going to be, at least the kinds I've grown weren't super tall, but they were good for like medium and smaller bouquets. I'm really excited about, see, I completely forgot. I bought this last year. I'm so excited. It's like pastel colors. I didn't even know Celosia came like that. This is super popular. Flamingo, they're pink. Okay, I am so like this is about having like a good seed collection. You have so many seeds, you go through it and you're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that I had gotten those." This is Globe Amaranth, so like technically it's edible. People usually grow it because I have grown this. I have not dried it though because growing it at the place we sold and I just didn't want to mess with it. But this supposedly you just hang it up to dry and it stays true to color. Like I was just talking about, like it will, I mean, it will probably fade after a year or two. It's not going to stay the same color for 5 years. But as far as dried flowers, it will retain its color for a long time. So I'm excited to use these in, fresh arrangements as well as dried arrangements. I like to make bouquets where the flowers are like fresh, but every single one of them is a variety that you could just take it out of the water, like cut the wet part of the stems off and hang it upside down and dry it and then keep it for a long time after that too. Because there's plenty of things that can dry well. I've dried Celosia. It is a little brittle and fragile, but oh, Sweet William is a biennial. It will not bloom this year. I have grown this. I got a huge bag full of seeds from a plot I had, and then I left that somewhere. But this is a really fun plant. It tastes like, is it like pepper? I'm sorry, I should know this. I thought it was going to say on here, a lot of things that are edible, they taste like grass or they don't good. Or like recently in a Stephanie and Titus video, not to bring him up, but like she said it tasted like perfume, this flower he made her eat. And then he's like, is that good? Is it good? Or does it taste good? It's like, no, obviously he's never had perfume in his mouth before. Like this taste, is it clove or pepper? These taste like clove, if you like clove. And a lot of flowers, they just don't have a taste. It's nasturtiums that taste like pepper. And it's nice when they actually do have a little bit of a taste and can add some flavor. And like in this picture, it's a drawing, but see how those pink flowers have white on the edge of them? They're so precious. They really do have white on the edge and a darker or lighter color on the edge. And they're worth the wait. Biennials can kind of seem like a downer, but time goes by so fast with whatever's going on with our magnetic poles or the Schumann resonance or whatever the heck is going on now, right? So, Scabiosa seeds, that's what I just showed you that I'm growing basically for the seed pods. Okay, Love in a Mist. I don't have a picture of those. Love in a Mist is a kind of weird looking flower. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna try to describe it to you if you don't know what it is, but that's another thing I'm growing. I have this, then usually it's yellow. It's a very, very common. It grows like a weed around here. It's on like every hillside this time of year. It's starting to pop up. It's an alternative. The leaves would be an alternative for toilet paper too, I think. And it can be medicinal. I've never used it medicinally, but I have grown it. The yellow kind. Yes, I grew it from seed. It's just funny because it's like growing a dandelion from a seed almost. But I have not grown these. I've tried a few times, and a lot of my a lot of my failed attempts are just bad planning, plain and simple. I've grown tons of different kinds of poppies, and I really like the leaves that these two are. See what the leaves look like? I can't tell if it's really. And if you don't grow poppies, they are just so special. They are the thinnest, I believe, the flower with the thinnest petals. Poppy's petals are 3 cell layers thick, and that's one reason why they just seem, you can tell how delicate they are. They're extra vibrant, and it's something about the sun only having to go through 3 cell layers somehow makes their collars just pop. And I had them in a mix, like, I didn't intentionally grow them, and the first time I grew them, I fell in love with them. They're so easy to do. I have Hungarian blue poppies from Botanical Interest. I wanna get those again. Just absolutely beautiful in all the different colors. And so that's kind of the end of the cut flower. Not to say I would never use any of these that I'm getting ready to talk about in cut flowers. Echinacea is something that I've grown. I established it really well at our first house. And we actually saw it was being sold like a year after we sold it. The person that bought it from us was selling it a year later. And so I got to see some of the pictures, and like this echinacea had just taken off. It's such a great plant. If it does grow well, of course, there's going to be some maintenance, but it can be a really great perennial to have. The roots, say, are more medicinal in the second year. I have only used the flowers, I believe, as like petals and tea. I definitely have grown a lot of echinacea, but I haven't in a few years, and I'm really, really excited. I've got tons of calendula because I grown it over the years and I saved it, and it's probably all cross pollinated, but that's fine because I love all the varieties I grow. But every once in a while, I few packets because of that reason. Feverfew is a seed I had to look for like 3 years. It's called Feverfew because it supposedly, this is not medical advice. I should say that. Oh, I just realized, did I not? See, I need to get a lot more herbs. I feel like I didn't go through my herbs at all because no, I did. I didn't go through my annuals. That's what's going on. I felt like I was missing something. I went through the perennials and not the annuals. So, feverfew is supposedly reduces fevers. I'm not giving any medical advice. Ask your doctor before you take anything that I'm talking about ingesting, if you haven't, especially because there is a possibility of being, allergic to any of this. But feverfew is similar to baby's breath, really tiny white flowers. So I like to use it in fillers and arrangements. And it also has pretty foliage, which reminds me of cosmos, kind of. And it's just a great plant to have. And I have not used it medicinally. It's one of those things that's funny to me. It's been used for so long. And when you look it up and say, is this okay? They'll say, yeah, it's been used for 2,000 years for this and that and this and that, but we don't know if it's safe yet. And like so many things, which you just wonder, when are they ever going to study these herbs or flowers for their medicinal value ever? I feel bad not having. Ageratum is something that grows kind of like a weed. I have purple ageratum. I like to use that in fillers. It does spread quite easily, so that's something I'm trying to be careful with these things. A bunch of snapdragons that I've saved that hopefully are true to seed. These are 2 plants I'm excited about. I grew this once. Sea holly, it looks like a silverish blue. It's just really neat. And I grew a few of these at our off-grid property. Honeywort, it says popular in 16th century England. This unusual beauty is making a comeback in ornamental and cut flower gardens for good reason. It's gorgeous in arrangements and lasts a long time. In the garden, it pairs nicely with bronze or in deep purple or red foliage. So I had this next to some red coleus, and it was really beautiful. I had not cut it for any arrangements. There's so many leaves. I wonder if you would take off all or some or most of those leaves if you were to do that. But I really love growing things like that that are kinda like making a comeback, things that people used to grow hundreds of years ago, and I believe that pink banana squash, a winter squash, was something that, like, people found. I know glass gem corn seeds were a variety that, like, had made a comeback recently. So I have grown these little blue ones, and they were incredibly delicate, like, they definitely looked nothing like this picture as far as an ends of blossoms. I don't know how I'll probably throw those down, and wish for the best, but I'm not really gonna. Never grown this before, money plant, and it is a meal. It will not flower this year, it will flower next year. It says, it was pop introduced to England from Germany in the late 1500s and brought to America by the Puritans, also called honesty, silver dollar, satin flower, penny, Judas penny, and moonwort. I think those, pods look really neat. I don't know if I might put that by my house or not. So this, I had, like, the sunset variety, like, the really pretty peachy and pink variety. Oh, and I did not grow it from seed, like, it just did not work out, and now it's always sold out. But this is black-eyed Susan vine, and it is super duper cute. So cute. And I wanna grow some black-eyed Susan because I wanna just grow perennials. I don't need that many. There's a bunch of hostas and some other perennials around our house that I just kinda want some more color to go with everything. Then these some of the mixes. Now I've got one bed that I used, I wanna say like a mix and a half, and it really is neat. Like, I wish they had these still. I feel like these are like a collector's edition now, like, I don't wanna plant them. But Hummingbird Haven, I actually might give one of these to our neighbors that tilled our bed as a thank you. I should do that. Time is passing by too fast when you recover. Bring home the butterflies mix. Like, if in doubt, if you get it, like, especially I mean, I know I have another thing that's like look, I think I got this at the dollar store. Like, if you're like, can't make your mind up, there's mixes of flowers, and to throw down a bunch of different seeds, especially if somebody put it together, I mean, like, you can't go wrong. It's so much fun. Of course, granted, there were some that was like I knew what a sunflower seed was, and I took those out because I didn't want they wouldn't have worked out in the little bed I had the flowers in, and then, like, if you don't have ideally, it would be, like, in a round bed, and some get too tall for other ones. So I definitely need to get more sunflowers. I've got big, huge what is it? Big, huge dwarf. Mongolian and mammoth right now. I need to get more just like regular old sunflowers. I've got this dwarf variety, which my experience with dwarf varieties is they can actually get taller, but and some sunflower seeds I saved, but I want to have hundreds and hundreds of sunflowers, and I know I should just be patient and like save seeds from this year and then plant more next year, but I want sunflowers, zinnias, straw flowers, like, it's gonna be a bunch of yellow sunflowers and then a bunch of colorful different oh, it's gonna be so beautiful, and I'm gonna show you guys all of it, and, yeah, I planted a lot of coleus. I don't know how much I'm gonna deal with any shade-loving plants right now. I'm just, like, so amped to get into everything else, as you can see, and, these are my glass gem corn seed I keep bringing up. Not really gonna be able to see. I still have some of the seeds that I bought. So these are probably like 10 years old too, but that's fine, if you keep them. These are like I actually grew from the 2 little packets I just showed you, and a lot of them look just I wonder if they lost their color because I swear they used to be more colorful than that, and I've still got a lot that I grew for ornamental reasons, like the cobs that I can take the, corn seeds off of. And that's another thing that I like to grow, things I can use as decoration. I did not say that about the Sweet Annie. Sweet Annie can be used in wreaths. I cannot believe I didn't say that. Sweet Annie is great to use in wreaths, and I just ruined every one that I had made because they were like several years old. But there's a wreath on the packet because it's great to use in wreaths. This is a second packet I had, and I don't know why I'm explaining. You guys don't know what's on my lap. So I showed you the perennial herbs, and like when I put the watercress down, because I didn't talk about basil and no, unless I'm losing my mind, I really don't think I talked about any of this. I do need to get more herbs. I don't have enough herbs right now. All I have is Genovese basil I saved and sweet basil that I'm telling you, I grow at least a dozen kinds of basil every year. This is shiso. Shiso. It has tastes kind of like cloves. Not my cup of tea as far as greens, but it is nice to have. I've learned that I'll eat more greens if I can get a variety of flavors, and I'm trying to add more bitters into my diet because they are good for your digestive system. And this is something that's famous in Japan that literally tastes like salt. Now, I have grown it once before. I honestly did not taste it, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't like the peak of the season or something like that. I remember not caring for the plant that much, like tending to it, caring for it. Summer savory is a annual, it's not a perennial like the winter savory. I do not know the difference. I have not grown. This is, oh, I don't remember growing that. So we've got cilantro, and I have cilantro seeds saved right here. This is so messy. Now I'm going to be sweeping later. There's, I don't even, oh yeah, I like to use that in arrangements sometimes. You can use so many different things in flower arrangements. But yeah, these are really old, like from the dollar store or something, I believe. Parsley. We've got Paracress is known as the toothache plant. Sorry, I don't have a picture. It kind of reminds me of like clove flowers, only they're not purple like these, like pink. They're like red with a yellow dot. Sometimes they don't have the dot. And they literally make your mouth numb when you bite them, like really numb, like something you'd buy from the store to numb toothache pain. And it is also called electric daisy, I believe. Maybe I'm mistaken about that, but it is amazing how fast those work. I have some, oh gosh, I think I have some dried. I do not want to get up and go in the kitchen right now because I might like have a dog or a kid try to follow me back. But uh yeah, that's an amazing medicinal plant. I don't know if it's considered an herb. Really easy to grow. It doesn't grow that high. I believe it's like 6 to 8 inches at most, so it's easy. This is something I got for free from Baker. King of bitters. It says, the king of all bitter herbs, this herb has been as a panacea in Eastern medicine for centuries, and it reaches 36 inches tall. So I have never grown this before, but I really do want to try. I think that sounds neat. I talk about my marshmallow plant all the time. It's one of my favorite plants to could also be used for toilet paper in a pinch. Its leaves, flower, you can use the whole plant. It's supposed to be the most medicinal part is the roots. I've never personally used marshmallow roots. I did harvest and dry them out, and we were moving. We're always moving. But marshmallow plant is actually where marshmallows first came from. And marshmallows, I believe, weren't started so much as like a sweet, like just straight up sweet. They started as a lozenge for like medicine because the original marshmallows made from the root of this plant weren't quite the same as the marshmallows we know now from that are derived from gelatin most of the time. But it's still neat to be able to have something that could maybe make something like that. I would like to make marshmallows from these roots if it's not super duper hard one day to just see what it would be like. But the leaves, I can't get over how this causes your mucous membranes to really, it sounds like, oh, you're going to be more mucousy, but it helps like push all the bad mucus and stuff. Like it helps you be more productive in a good way. And whenever I have a sore throat, just anything cold symptom like the marshmallow, it's in throat coat tea. Marshmallow plant is so hardy, and if you once and probably will drop seeds. It's just one of those things that's like so productive. I've got some that's 3 feet high right now from seeds that dropped last year. I'm a big fan of watercress and the upland variety of it that I heard was good for flower bouquets, and I grew it. I don't know why if mine just didn't grow big enough, but like there's no way I could use it in flower bouquets. Another thing that I like to use for filler is dill. This is tetra dill, I believe, and it is medicinal. Dill is quite astringent. You can make a tea from dill if you have like a headache or sore throat. I believe it's like so many herbs. They say like, oh, it's good for this and that and this and that. It really is more medicinal than people give it credit for. And there's nothing like having a bunch of fresh dill. I like to grow this in Mammoth. I like to grow a few different varieties because some of them just go to flower so quickly. So I have grown chicory before, and am I mistaken or is this a biennial? I want to say at least when I grew it, it worked out that way that it didn't flower until the second year. I did harvest the roots and I did try to roast them and like because I had already had chicory coffee before. Gosh, I didn't realize I got like more cilantro seeds, so I have plenty of those. And I'm not growing chicory this year, but it is one of those things I'd like to have the seeds on hand because my seed bank in a way is a backup plan. This is Mexican tarragon. It is okay, honestly, when I grew it, I didn't really eat it. It is a cute little plant, and you can see they call it marigold. It says the leaves have notes of anise. That's not like my cup of tea. Isn't that similar to like licorice? I did taste it and I just didn't love it. And like almost me, and I like mint, also called Mexican mint. Okay. I'm going to try it again because you never know. Like it could have been something I grew it next to, or it getting too much sun or too little water or something like that. But okay. Did you see the teeny tiny? They do have signet marigolds at Botanical Interest. They're like teeny, teeny, tiny marigolds. They're so cute if you like them. There are marigold varieties that I like more than others. It's the smell. I'm not a huge fan of the smell, and I'm sure a lot of you like know what I'm talking about. I'm just all over the place. I guess anybody watching this for over an hour has probably come to accept that at this point. So this is something I've grown called this is obviously something I've grown. It's that I dried. It's broom. Is this broom corn? Like Amish people use this for their brooms, and you can use it, of course, for any kind of like decoration you want to. I do not know if these seeds are viable. I need to like do a germ test because I feel like some of these are like bigger and like what a seed should feel like, and I feel like some of them aren't. So I'm hoping to get some seeds from these. I just wanted to use this as decoration, and I did, and it's kind of on its way out. If these seeds aren't viable, it'll probably be good. But this is a really fun thing to plant. It can get like 12 feet tall, so plan for that. But it comes in different colors. You can kind of see what's in the middle is like more reddish. This is 4 or 5 years old. But yeah, broom broom corn. It wasn't, I want to say straw corn. That doesn't sound right. It's not that. Okay, anyways. This is Nigella sativa. It has a lot of medicinal benefits. This is obviously like I think these seed pods are beautiful. And this like do those flowers smell good? What kind of talking about exactly, Martin? Are you talking about these roses? Mother's Day bouquet for my middle son. But I can't smell much, honestly. How about some Oh, yeah, John, I would be fine with that, but I can't grow that now, unfortunately. Even to grow hemp, like I was thinking it'd be cool to be able to be a part of that industry. Like I think it's absolutely absurd that hemp is treated like something. I think it's absurd that all cannabis is treated the way that it is, honestly. But like when you want to grow hemp, you're not allowed to have any pew-pews at home, and you're opening doors to like being searched by the feds at any point in time because you're growing hemp. Like that is so ridiculous to me. It's like that's such a shame because they do go in Kentucky for the last few years. But hopefully that'll change. But yeah, Nigella sativa is a really pretty plant. It's not necessarily long lasting for a vase, but like see these seed pods? And these have been, sitting in storage for years. Nigella sativa is also called black seed or black cumin. Black cumin, however you say that. And it's like a lot of people make hair oil. Now, I'm not gonna be a see this black seed? Do you see the so it's highly prized in India. Uh, you should look it up if you're interested in it. It's just like one of those like superfoods. But of course, it would take me hours, to like harvest enough seeds. Not that I wouldn't do it, especially if that's what like living sustainably and off grid is all about. Not that I'm off grid right now. I'm just saying like when you have the goal of being as self-sustainable as possible, you're going to constantly be working. There's never going to not be a chore to be done, especially when it comes to harvesting things and seeds. This is status, a plant that okay, these are like horrible examples of these things dried, but this is a plant that's kind of like a straw flower. It grows on the plant pretty dry, and it is easy to dry. And while it doesn't look super great right now, like, do you see this blue? That's pretty. It comes in pink and I believe like a darker pinkish red, maybe even yellow. And I think I can get seedless. I might be wrong, but I'm hoping I can get some seeds because I don't have any bought seeds. I still have like a bunch left, so I'm probably going to be going for like an hour and a half. So this is my moon garden, and I just want to show you things from here. It's only like, I'm sorry, that noise was probably horrible. Probably about a dozen different kinds of flowers, and I have a few repeats, like feverfew is in here. I have big white snap. It's my snapdragons. White marigold was something that I got from Botanical Interest. It was like a some kind of anniversary edition. I don't know if they probably still have it now, but I love those. They're a little bit bigger than most marigolds. Of course, there's some big marigolds, but bigger than what I was used to. And these are polar bear white zinnias. So Eden Brothers is a brand I would not recommend, and I wouldn't say that lightly about any brand in a public forum, but like I just had way too many bad experiences with Eden Brothers out there again, and it's a shame because every once in a while I'm like really looking for something and I can only find it there. What was it recently? It was something super random. It was like saffron, something really, really random. White Nicotiana, also known as Indian tobacco. Super interesting plant, grows really tall and then has these big, white, slender, bell-flowered flowers. It's neat. I have not used it medicinally, but that's the way Indian Native Americans used it. I believe was it like mullein? They smoked it for lungs. I know this isn't white, but it's super close to white. Penny Duchess apricot asters. And I have grown these, but they were kind of scraggly compared to the picture. I need to give them more sun next time, but they're really cute. Bunny tails grass. My husband makes fun of how I say this Shasta, or did I say Shasta? Now I can't even remember. One of the oldest heirloom varieties in our country, America, and it's a perennial. I just have a like I love these, but it seems like the flowers always just something's wrong with like every single one of the petals more so than some other kind of flowers. Like they attract more insects and stuff. This is a really fun kind of cosmos. I guess I do have a picture of cosmos. You see those leaves? Like it's fun for a filler in a bouquet, just the leaves in it. But this is like a fluorescent yellow. I swear they're not even like as yellow as depicted there. But I thought that would be fun for the moon garden whenever I get one. And then I've got white lace Orlea seeds, which are like the original baby's breath. They were popular in Victorian era. If you don't know exactly what, like imagine baby's breath, but they grow in little circles. It's a really neat, pretty plant, and I'm excited, so excited. I'm so excited to grow these again because it's been a few years, and when you grow flowers, even like, food crops, are some of those flowers you're gonna plant as edible or can be used in cooking? Yes, some are edible, but I hope I mentioned most of the ones that I would eat, like I said, like a lot of flowers that are considered edible, they're not very tasty. I would like the Sweet William, those are like super tasty. Nasturtium, I haven't gotten to those yet. Those taste peppery, like they give a kick. And Yeah, I wouldn't prefer to eat most other flowers. I believe dahlias are edible, like the petals, but most of them, they just taste grassy. But yes, I used to here's a bunch of black seed. Wow, I didn't realize I had so much. People put this in an oil and kind of diffuse it in the oil. I have white aster, so that's my moon. I've never ever had it, and I've like had this collection of seeds going for a good 6 years now. I doubt this will be the year I have a moon garden, but I thought maybe I'll just plant some of these on like one side of the house so I can finally get over it. Okay, excuse me. Okay, I definitely went through those. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Like I looked over my annuals. So broccoli, okay. This is a company I ordered a bunch of microgreen seeds from. Like these are supposed to be for microgreens. And I really should test them because they're kind of old, 2020. I've grown broccoli a few times, but I never grew it at the right time, so I didn't have a good harvest. It's one of those things that it doesn't like the heat, but I would really like to try harder. If I had a little greenhouse going, I'd probably try to put my brassicas in it, and I probably still will, but of course I need a lot of like aeration. It's just the pest when it comes to brassicas. And I've got, I mean, these were a pound. I feel like they're still almost a pound. So many radish seeds. Okay, beet. I don't need to show you. I've got Genovese basil. Look at all this. I could have like a big plot of just that, which I would if I could. These are nasturtiums, and I'm hoping these are still viable, even if they're not very viable. Like I still have a bunch. They have to be somewhat. These grow like vines, and this is what tastes like pepper. And I believe these are just typical yellow. A lot of them are yellow or red or orange, but they can come in some really beautiful like salmon colors. And okay, now I'm probably going to regret this later. This is also a sprouting seeds mix. That's another thing. Microgreens or seeds for sprouting. This doesn't say what I paid for it. I believe I got this from Amazon. I'm sure I didn't pay more than $10 for this. It's a few years old. It says 2023 on it. I'm probably gonna grow stuff like this in flats, or maybe I'll just have like a little pot for the chickens and use them, harvest them like baby greens, and maybe even have times where I just let the chickens go in there and like, peck at all of it because it's ready to go and they can eat it. Sometimes when my husband is preparing a new bed, he'll throw in some sod for them, and we have let them out of there and want to do it more, but like, no, we don't do it that often. And there's a bunch of times I would love to grow mushrooms, Martin. That's something I'm slightly intimidated by, but I would really love to. We have a ton of varieties in our forest. We actually found turkey tail last year. My husband found it. But unfortunately, because we sprayed for ticks, we didn't want to try to harvest any of the wild mushrooms that we knew were edible. But I was so excited to find turkey tail. And I don't know if we are spraying this year or not. Like my husband thinks that the ticks are actually kind of better, and I don't know if it's because like he does a lot of cleanup out there, and we have those chickens. People say chickens aren't. They do eat ticks, but they're not like good tick control compared to things like guinea fowl. But anyways, I would love to get some logs that you purposely inject with the mushroom spores and grow mushrooms because I love mushrooms and my middle son also loves mushrooms. Like we could each eat a bowl of mushrooms every day. So this is just another good alternative when it comes to seeds. Of course, like most people be like, I don't want all those seeds. But when it comes to like baby greens, like it's really nice if you don't grow a lot of salad or lettuce successfully. It's may be easier to get like this and start these every few weeks, which it's something you've got to get used to. Now I can't even think of the term, the rotation. You're like always, once again, you have a big garden like this, it's just constant work. Buckwheat is something that I have grown, but I didn't do anything with it. And this is good chicken feed, I read. So let's hope that's still viable. I need to stop throwing stuff down there. I might get my light shut off. So I have flax flower seed I bought, like I bought as flower seed. But then this is something, once again, from the grocery store. And it notoriously goes rancid quickly. So I eat it and I grew plants from it. You can grow, I'm not going to say everything. I wouldn't necessarily think that everything dried you get at the store, that's a seed you could throw in the ground and grow, but like flax you can. See these pretty little blue flowers. I mean, I know that's a drawing, but flax are kind of similar to poppies in the way that they flutter in the wind. Their leaves and they're just such a pretty plant. I didn't know until I grew them. And they're one of those things that I would like to have a plot of. That's blue. And then I believe, gosh, I forget the kind that I bought. We've got This is the paracress. That's the plant that I was telling you about that I had the saved packet from. Gosh, I have so many of these. The toothache plant, really sincerely, within seconds of biting down on it, you can't like feel like you start to feel it numbing everything. Your tongue, the side of your mouth, your teeth and gums on that side. Shungiku is something I have grown that I did not do anything with. It's known as a three-color daisy. It is what they make. Now it's on the tip of my tongue. Something food, chop suey, is that it? Some traditional dish. I'm sorry, I should know. And obviously, I wasn't growing it for that. I didn't even know that. I just thought like this would be fun. It wasn't expensive at all to get an ounce of seeds. And I wanted to do that with sunflowers. And sometimes they say like this is just for microgreens. So it kind of does worry me. But it's like if it's edible, for people to eat, surely it is fine to grow, right? Because like, what would they do to that seed? Because there's certain seeds like morning glory, because they can make you trip or whatever. Like they will put a coating on it so people do not ingest it. And of course, if it came to peas, like, but that's no, I'm thinking of peas that you get to grow that are covered in that. Yeah, okay. So, anyways, I have seen people say they grew beans from dried beans. I believe I've spoken about all of the seeds in my collection, and I need to get a lot more basil. I'm sure I'm going to end up getting like some more of some other kind of herbs. That just didn't seem like enough to me. And my gherkin pickles. And then, of course, I forget. Oh, yeah, corn. I need to get some more sweet corn. Usually, you grow one kind of corn at once, unless you're going to grow them at least 500 feet apart. Now, I've grown 2 kinds of corn at once because they were such different varieties, tasseled at completely different times, meaning they had the silk tassels come out. That's when pollinators pollinate them. As long as they're not tasseling at the same time, you can grow 2 different kinds of corn. Of course, like, once again, I can't stress it enough, it's just constant work, and you have to be vigilant if you know you're growing 2 different kinds of corn, right? And really, really, really plan ahead. But I was thinking about that, like, having my notebook out and, like, actually doing some planning on here, and I was like, "Oh, that would probably be crazy." It'd probably be, like, 5 hours long. And right, because it was just an hour and 24 minutes to talk about and give an overview about, and I think it might be fun when it is whatever part of the season to look back on this, at least, like, for me and maybe for a few of you guys, and we can see what's going on in the garden. And when you grow so many things, it really helps because, of course, some things aren't gonna pan out every season, it's just the way it is. But you've got, like, dozens, you've got, like, 100 other things that are growing well, and it really helps keep the momentum. I haven't grown successfully. It I just know I'm going to one day. Like, I just haven't grown them successfully yet because I've grown absolutely everything I really try to. It might take several tries. It might take 3, 4. I think there's things that I've grown 5 or try to grow 5 or 6 times before I finally grow them. So I just wanna give up. I have grown sweet corn mostly. The glass gem corn was what they call, like, the flint corn or popcorn that you're talking about, like, the hard corn that you use just for popcorn or to grind. But once again, I did harvest some sweet corn at the right time, but I didn't harvest it a lot at the right time. It's been a big learning curve of mine, and I'm sure many gardeners that are doing it. I don't wanna say all on my own because I've had YouTube, and if I didn't have YouTube, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do. My husband actually bought me a lot of these books. He's years ago. He's got Gosh, Curtis Stone, you guys know about him, The Urban Farmer. I have a lot of good books, so he got me a lot of flower books, and I have a lot of but, sometimes it's like I've learned the most from watching people walk around their gardens and talk about it, so that's what I was, like, kind of hoping, like, if anything, it's me documenting my gardens for my grandkids and, like, but I hope, like, some people learn a few things, and I'm more of a kinesthetic learner too, like, I have to be out there anyways, not that I don't love my books, and I especially when it comes to the flower arrangement books, I highly recommend those. He was really sweet to go out of his way to research what the best ones were. So, there I go with the So's. If anybody has any questions, of course, like, feel free to comment at any time. I have a pretty small channel, so even if it's been weeks or months, you have a question or something you see in one of my videos, like, comment it, and I will get the notification, especially now I'm off work until the middle of next month, and I'm super grateful for that because it has been like 2 steps forward and 1 step back kind of situation, which I'm not complaining 'cause, totally beneficial for me in every way, but definitely there's no way I could go back to work in a factory anytime soon. In 6 weeks, I hope to think I would be out in the garden by then. That'll be 3 weeks from now. I'm hoping 2 weeks from now, but I really need to give myself time. One incisions is not healing like the others, and it's because of a hernia I have, and I'm really looking forward to building my stamina back up for my job in the garden because I have to. I couldn't it is so difficult to go from being on your feet for 40 to 50 hours a week, and more than that really, because 'cause I'm not, like, to being in bed for 3 weeks straight. It's, like, really hard on my back, and I got a massage because it was so bad. And the massage therapist was telling me about how my back muscles are working overtime because my body knows that it is trying to heal from these incisions up front and everything else going on internally. So it is just like if my biggest complaint is like one incision in my back muscles, I really don't have much to complain about. I've seen women that have gone through way, way, way more after a hysterectomy than me. I'm looking forward to getting out there and getting back to some kind of work. And we're probably gonna get compost, not this Friday, but next Friday, maybe even the Friday after that. And it really doesn't matter because like I said, there's no way I could get out there. If I'm on my feet for 20 minutes, I feel it and I get a lot of pain. I'm not complaining about the pain. I'm just saying it's like my body's way of being like, slow down. And I want to make a video about white willow bark I made tea out of that is what aspirin is derived from. And I've had that white willow bark for years. It's bark, like I keep saying. So it stores well and you use a teaspoon at a time and it tastes very bitter, but I've been putting 4 ounces or so in my throat coat tea and it really has helped a lot, and I'm still taking ibuprofen. I've gone a few days without it, but I say all that oh my gosh, I wanna make sure. I didn't think it had my name on it, but I wanna make sure. Look, that's not the, like, the biggest bottle of ibuprofen you've ever look, it's, like, as big as my This is, because of my thyroid nodules, I don't swallow pills, so when they sent me home with this big old bottle of ibuprofen, and it kind of kills my little, like, wannabe herbalist heart that I've taken this much ibuprofen in 3 weeks, but at the time, I need to let it go because, like, it is what it is, we need it all, and I'm grateful for the anti-inflammatory properties of ibuprofen, oh my gosh, but I'm also looking forward to, like, one day not needing it at all for several days in a row. And I think you guys can tell by my seed collection, I grow all sorts of stuff, and I would love to hear what you like to grow. Of course, if you have anything to add, any information about anything, like add it. I don't know everything about these plants, but I do know that I love to grow all of them. And it's like seeing an old friend again. I know that sounds incredibly cheesy. It's just the truth, especially with flowers. I have one bed where a bunch of flowers have sprouted up from last year, just dropping seeds, and that's what they call self-sowing, and it's so neat to be able to, like, just start them one year and have them keep coming back, and I just love all my flowers so much, and it's a complete joy. I use compost, Martin. I would So we need to make our own compost. We used to, we haven't yet, yada yada. I have used bunny manure in the past because my neighbor had a bunny, but I just use compost and I'm gonna have some delivered. I like heavily compost. I mean, like the top 6 layers, 6 inches is like half compost, half whatever else, topsoil. I would use manure. And this is that time of year, you drive around the countryside, you can definitely smell the people that do, which I don't have a problem with, but I'm glad I don't live near any of those farms. We actually lived quite close to a big farm that you smelled driving by it, but you didn't smell it from our place at all, our off-grid place. But yes, it's definitely the best. If we had livestock, I mean, our chickens, know, they're like it's like hot manure. We should have a compost pile that we add their bedding to. So, once it's all processed, it'd be like a little bit of manure in the compost pile. That's one of those projects. I'm actually surprised my husband hasn't built a compost bin yet because he's all about building his compost bins. I need to ask him about that. But as you could see, like he's done a lot. I'm not saying that he hasn't done a lot. And I really am looking forward to I didn't wanna post this picture because our tiny house was in the background, but I like to have a bunch of sunflowers, like, for our neighbors' enjoyment too. If you're gonna have a bunch of sunflowers, it should be visible for everybody that drives on the road, right? And I'm not saying this will happen this year, but I think it might be something to add to a little CSA market garden type situation, like a fun place to take pictures. And if it's like customers that are going there for your CA, you don't charge them anything. But if it's like a photographer that wants to do some senior portraits, you could charge her, like, I wouldn't have the heart to charge more than like $20 for a few hours, charge a lot. But I think any little stream of income right now, any way you could make income, and that's also something that you could offer to people for free that need it for free, right? Like you don't have to charge everybody, but you might make a few $100s doing that. And I'm looking forward to planning that because my spatial awareness is like my handicap. I'm not trying to be cute. Like north, south, east, west is hard for me to follow. I'm laughing at myself. Everybody has their things that are like they don't grasp easily. I was a really smart kid. Like really, I'm not trying to brag. I was like in advanced everything. But I always had a problem with numbers. I always had a problem with north, south, east, and west. And like I know I'll be able to ask my husband, like, "Where does the sun set? Where does the sun rise?" I'm still having trouble in my head thinking of, like, where I need to plant what as far as the height goes, you know what I mean? So the sun doesn't shade anything out. I do not have a pond, but there's one close to us on the adjoining property, but, like, we can't see it from our house. Our last property, we did have a few ponds, and I really miss it. I miss the spring peepers. They're these frogs that, like, sleep in the ground. If you guys don't know what spring peepers are, it's one of the most precious sounds, and I'll, like, hear the peepers at the pond when I'm driving down the road, but we can't hear them from our house. And one day, we will have another pond, and it will be close enough to hear the peepers. Like I said, I don't want a big body of water near my home, though. Like, the river near us is still very, very high, like, super duper high, as high as it was. It looks like maybe it's gone down a few inches, but it's it's kind of creepy. Like, if there was one bad storm, what would happen? It would be like over the bridge we drive over. It's not right with the what's happening with the water levels, and I have a video in my drafts about, like, facts about Kentucky, like, fun facts, and Kentucky has the why am I giving away my ideas? I don't know, my content. It's not really my ideas. Second to Alaska, Kentucky has the most navigable waterways of any state. There's just like a lot of water. And granted, a lot of our lakes are man-made here. It's still the second most amount of navigable waterways of any state to Alaska. And there's tons of not navigable waterways, like little creeks, little ponds, just so many. You drive through, and I know I claim this. I have this video that shows a lot of the farmland. There's so many creeks flowing through all the farms, so many ponds, and yeah. There's just tons of water, so it makes for, like, a lot of beautiful scenery, but it also kinda makes sense why when it floods, the water level's just so high. There's just and it's interesting because, I mean, the creeks aren't still that high, but this river, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and they still have it high for a reason because I know it's connected to a man-made lake, and spring peepers, love them, and they can be so loud. Yeah, right? I know, but I really miss that. I really miss falling asleep to the sound of them, and of course, we were, like, off grid, so we believe yeah, we had our windows open a lot that time of year. It might have even been a little cold, but still could hear them, especially in a shed conversion, and I wanna make content about that. There's so much that I wanna make content about, and I'm, like, sitting in bed, but it's, like, extremely fatiguing, like, recovering from this. I don't know how many of you have had what's considered major surgery, but, like, the recovery is interesting because your body's focusing on the external things at first, and, like, you think, "Oh, things are getting better," and, like but then you whoa, like, there's still a lot of recovering going on internally, and I'm grateful for it, but, like, okay, I shouldn't. I'm not even gonna go there. I was just gonna start ranting about something that doesn't matter, has nothing to do with seeds. But yeah, I've grown, clove a lot before. That's what all the this is another purpose for these dried flowers. These were cute little candle holders I bought. Um, I haven't used this one yet, obviously, or I would have taken the plastic off, but you put a candle in there. You could even put, like, a tea light probably, but one of those votives, and, you could fill the jar with whatever you want, but I chose flowers because I have a lot, and I grow bachelor's buttons. Actually, these retain their color quite well because these bachelor buttons are at least 3 or 4 years old. Look how blue they still are. One of the truest blue flowers. If you want, like, red, white, and blue, I would really recommend blue bachelor's button. Blue excuse me, because so many blue flowers aren't really blue, they're, like, purple. I really hate clearing my throat like that. I hate swallowing hard and stuff, but it's really hard to be on camera for this long. I'm gonna drink some of my lemonade and not excuse me, especially excuse me. I have I have lots of issues, but I had a sinus repair done and I'm trying this spray right now to get rid of fluid in my inner ears. And I should be trying more herbs and things like that, but you know how ENTs are, they always want you to try the sprays, and I wanna make sure I at least try this. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here before my throat gets any worse. No, it is I forget the name of the brand, but it's like a really clean brand, it's like non-GMO, and it does have some sugar in it. Gosh, I'm so mad, we buy this brand all the time, it's at Walmart and Kroger's, it's everywhere. I'll remember to tell you the name of the brand or mention it somehow. But if you're interested in, like it's really good. It's like they make just plain lemon packets for baking because it really is like powdered lemon, like whatever kind of extract or flavor. It's nothing, it doesn't have aspartame like every freaking thing. Everything has aspartame now in it. It's making me mad. Everything. You can't get any protein shakes, any protein powders in any store, at least where we are, that doesn't have aspartame in it. It's really unnerving. Okay, there was a few. I think Orgain had a powdered one in the store, but like 9 out of 10 have fake sugar and it's like sucralose, aspartame. I don't like that. I'm not going to throw a big fit if I accidentally ingest it or like we're on a road trip and like somebody hands me one and that's like all we like I'll go, you know what I mean? Every once in a while, like I don't think it gives me migraines or anything, but I really don't like the fake sugars. I just feel an instinctual need to avoid them and keep my family away from them. And I think I've done a good job like teaching our sons without making them anxious and paranoid, like walking around in the world. Like my middle son is a good example. He grew up eating well and he really does make good choices. Of course, like he wants to eat junk food sometimes like everybody, but he really sincerely is like one of the best eaters that I've ever seen. And it's because we started to learn about all of this when he was a baby because his big brother needed to be put on a special diet. So we went ahead and like put them both on the same essentially gluten-free, dairy-free diet and then like eased back into the gluten and the dairy. But anyways, and just as well, just ate a bunch of good stuff. Like one time when we were trick-or-treating and my kids were I'm not gonna get the exact age. They were 4 and 6 or 4 and 7, something like that, and a lady had a big bowl of candy, and she had a few pieces of fruit set in the bowl of candy, and whenever my boys saw that, they grabbed the fruit. They were really excited to grab the fruit because, like, that's how little they like, I think it was one of the first times they ever ate candy, really, and she was like, "I really wasn't expecting anybody to grab that fruit." Oh, she was so impressed. "Oh, I'm sure she found out we homeschool. She'd tell me about the principal she knows at the the nearest school, though. But anyways, not to be a Debbie Downer, I always have to, like, put a negative spin on it, right? But that was one of those parenting moments I'll always remember that made me proud, and it's like, they weren't deprived, though. It's just, like, I think it's really important to start them off like, keep them away from soda and all processed things as long as possible, but you can't keep them away from it forever, right? And it's important to set them up to be able to make good choices for themselves. So, anyways, I could sit here and talk about food and nutrition and seeds all night, but I don't think my throat will let me. Gosh, it's like on the tip of my tongue what that, thought I might still have the packet, but I did throw it out. But anyways, I keep saying I'm gonna try to go live every day. I know I didn't yesterday, but there's a lot I still want to talk about. And like the Shiloh Hendricks situation, at this point, the more research I did, guys, I think it's a psyop. Like a lot of it doesn't make sense to me. And I tend to be a conspiracy theorist, like often, and I'm not ashamed to say that because a lot of conspiracies have turned out to be true, but it doesn't add up to me. This woman, and I don't know if I want it on my channel necessarily. Like I just think it will invite a lot of the people that there's no fixing a brain that thinks anything justifies calling a little kid. I don't care if he's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I don't care what age he is. Nothing justifies what that woman did. Is she said literally, "He was digging through my stuff," and then she said, "He took my son's stuff," but when she walks away, she has, like, a little purse that was on her, like, across her shoulder and, like, an applesauce thing in her hand, and I'm just wondering, like, was he digging in her purse? Did she, like, set down her purse somewhere? That doesn't sound right, because it was clearly, like, the smaller purse that she had on her body, and something's not up, like, it doesn't make sense to me. There are a few other adults, and I'm not expecting them to necessarily step in, but, like, there was this one woman for 1 second, and it's kinda like, why didn't that woman, like, say something or, like, say, like, at least, like, "What is going on?" And you see, like, another woman say that to a kid. I just in these crazy times, I don't know what is going on with that, but I go back and forth with a lot of stuff, and obviously we are heading up on gardening season, so I could probably go live every single day and like talk about this. I just don't know how interested you are in me just talking about seeds and gardening because we're definitely getting ready to like do a lot of it. And I apologize. Well, I don't think I do a bad job of like making false promises. I think I told one person through email I'm like trying to go live every day, but I don't know if I said that on here. Like that is my goal. Of course, like I don't expect to go live every single day, but I'd really like to try to get to 500 subscribers. At that point, I can get super chats and make memberships, and I'm not going to make memberships until I have like a better microphone and better things to offer you. But it would be nice to get to a little bit above 500 because you can always like lose a few, especially with my big mouth. But I would really like if you haven't, if, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, especially if you're interested in gardening content. I definitely am. I'll share whatever seeds I buy from now on, whatever seeds I start. I realized today I have a bag of potting soil. I was like, oh, so maybe I should go ahead and try to start my eucalyptus and some things that are going to take a long time. The moringa, the loofah gourd. Anyways, I'll share all that with you, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you soon. Hopefully, I'll take care.